Have you ever wondered if narcissists can change? This question has puzzled many, including myself. Join me in this upcoming series as we do a deep dive into the frequently asked questions about narcissism. In this video, we're going to explore the factors that influence change in narcissistic personalities, which will provide insight for people navigating relationships with narcissistic individuals. Well, hello and welcome back to another episode of Holistic Healing Network. I am your hostess, Leah Petrucci. I'm a licensed mental health counselor, as well as a holistic health and spiritual wellness coach and a narcissistic recovery coach. So I am continuing the series on the top 10 frequently asked questions that I get in my counseling and coaching practices about narcissism. And the question for today is, can narcissists change? Oh, that's a tough one. Do I think it's possible that a narcissistic person can change? Yes. However, I've not seen it in my practice. I've not heard about it in other people's practices. Only a small percentage of people qualify for the diagnosis of narcissistic personality disorder, because in order to get that diagnosis, the person who is displaying those behaviors has to admit that they are feeling distressed because of their behavior towards others and that they want to change. And that's not typically what you see. What you typically see is, if narcissistic people come to therapy at all, it's usually in the context of they were court ordered to go to therapy, and they usually blame it on the cop or on someone else, or they come in for couples counseling because their spouse is ready to divorce them, and it's kind of a last-ditch effort to maintain that source of supply, and they blame everything on their partner, that you need to fix my partner. He or she is the crazy one, not me. So it's very rare that you see a narcissistic person truly wanting to change. There actually is a guy I follow on YouTube. Check him out. And the name of his channel is called Mental Healness. And he fully admits he's been diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder. And he talks about it. I mean, from the real deal. It appears he's trying to do some good with it. But he does admit that he's gone to therapy and that therapy has helped him with some things, but personality-wise is still the same. He still has the same narcissistic thoughts. He is forthcoming about that, which makes sense. A personality disorder is formed sometimes at birth and in the early formative years, the first few years of life, and stays with the person for their whole life. They may be able to get therapy and they may be able to change the way they behave certain ways, but not others. So I do believe it's possible, but it's just I haven't seen many cases of that. So that's why I am hesitant to say they can change. Plus, it takes work. It really takes the narcissistic person admitting and coming to terms, and that's again, it goes against their nature. I have heard of situations with narcissistic people making changes, but not necessarily through therapy, only through the grace of God, only through really repenting and turning and giving their life over to God in an authentic way. Some examples, and I understand that some of you may not believe in this, and I totally understand that. But for those of you who do believe that, in the existence of a higher power, and that higher power can bring change, some examples of narcissistic people, and the many examples in the Bible. Apostle Paul is a big example, when he was called Saul of Tarsus, and he was a sociopath. I mean, he was a murderer. He murdered persecuted Christians until he was blown off of his horse, and Jesus appeared to him and said, Saul, why are you persecuting me? And caused him to be blind for several days, and then sent someone to his house to restore his sight, and caused him to believe in Jesus. And then he turned to God and became a really important figure in Christianity. So, I mean, that's a pretty rare example, but I believe it happened. I believe it, but you know, I understand that not everyone believes that. I understand we have different beliefs, but there are many examples like that in the Bible. For example, I recently saw a movie called Case for Christ, written by a man named Lee Strobel, and he recently just came out with a new movie in his series. He wrote all of these books called Case for Christ, Case for Heaven, Case for Faith, I think. The most recent book and movie is Case for Heaven that my folks and I went to see about a month ago. Lee Strobel himself, it's a documentary, and he talks about how he was a narcissist. He was an alcoholic. He was a narcissist. You know, he was abusive to his wife, and, you know, emotionally and verbally. And if you watch the movie Case for Christ, you see that. You know, the movie is about him trying to disprove the existence of Christ. And he was a journalist at the time, and he really did a deep dive and tried to disprove and interviewed a bunch of witnesses and dug up a bunch of, you know, old testimonies from people. And long story short, through that process of trying to disprove the existence of God and Jesus Christ, it brought him closer. and in the end, he believed, and it totally changed him for the better, you know, because he was ready to divorce his wife. He was ready to just kick his wife to the curb because she was a believer in Christ and he wasn't having it. And through his journey, it changed him. So that's an example. If you have other examples of what I'm talking about here, please share them in the comments. However, this all being said, I don't necessarily believe that people should wait around and continue being abused, hoping for their spouse to have this road to Damascus moment, like Paul in the Bible, you know, because I just don't necessarily know that it's going to happen. Yes, it could, it's possible, but to just stick around and endure all this abuse, hoping that it will, I don't think that's healthy. I'd love to know what y'all think. Do you think that narcissists can change? Do you think it's possible? Do you think that they do? That might be two different questions. In fact, to me, it's two different questions. Is it possible? Yes. Do you see it happening? Very rarely. I guess that would be the answer based on my personal and professional experiences and what I've witnessed, what I've heard. Because so many times I've worked with clients that have held out in their marriages hoping that their spouse will change, and they continue to deal with abuse and to, you know, the gaslighting and all the other emotional, verbal forms of abuse, even physical sometimes, and hoping that their spouse will change, and they don't, or even their spouse telling them they'll change, you know, saying what they need to hear to keep them in the status quo, and it not happening. So that's what I have seen and witnessed more in my personal life and in my professional practice, is a narcissistic person saying they will change and behaving for a short while. The longest that I have seen is almost a year that they can keep up the act, and then they show their true colors again because they weren't putting in the work. They weren't, you know, doing the therapy, and it takes lifelong therapy. And not many narcissistic people are going to be down for that, are going to be down for really doing that internal self-reflection that it's going to take for the rest of their lives, you know, to work on that. Like I said, let me know what your thoughts are, and stay tuned for the next video, which is going to be how and why do narcissists hurt people? So I'll be talking about the different forms of abuse in the next video, so stay tuned. If you're liking this content, please support my channel by giving this video a thumbs up, sharing the content with loved ones, subscribing to my channel so you don't miss a thing, hitting that notification bell, and commenting with any feedback or questions. So stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next video. Well, thanks for watching another episode of Holistic Healing Network. If you're in need of further counseling or coaching, I have two opportunities for you. I work one-on-one with adults depending on where you live. I implement multiple areas of specialization involving holistic healing for the mind, body, spirit, and relationship. I also offer a supportive group community program specifically for single women, whether you're divorced, whether you're separated from your spouse, or whether you've never been married, but you're seeking holistic healing in a supportive community setting as they break toxic patterns of choosing unhealthy partners in relationships, as well as focus on prioritizing self care in health and wellness. I will include links in the description of the video for how you can work with me either individually or in a group setting. Thanks for watching Holistic Healing Network, and I'll see you in the next video.